We are now one game into the Dallas Cowboys preseason. Things are heating up, and tonight we'll talk about 5 players whose time is now or never. Let's get to it. Here we go. What is up, everyone, and welcome into A to Z Sports Dallas Primetime. I am your host, Mauricio Rodriguez, streaming with you live Sunday and Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, catching up with you with quick hitting videos Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, such as this one, by the way. Tonight we'll talk about 5 players who are legitimate roster candidates, but that maybe need to bounce back now to avoid being cut. Now, when I say legitimate roster candidates, here's what I mean. Out of these 5 players that we'll be talking about, 4 of them were on my preseason 53-man roster projection for ADCsports.com. Not as long shots or anything like that. These were dudes that I genuinely thought, hey, they can be on the team, but that maybe got off to the wrong start on Sunday against the LA Rams. And how about we kick it up with one example right away? And by the way, you let me know in the chat, who do you think needs to bounce back after the preseason game number 1 from the Cowboys? Let me know in the comments who is one player you would like to see bounce back. And I got to start with a big name. That is Willie Fehoko Jr. Junior Fehoko. If you caught Sunday's show with Aisha Morrison here on Primetime, you heard us talk about him. And the reason why he was brought up was the Cowboys' lack of a pass rush against the Rams. Man, this guy dropped back. What did he drop back? He dropped back 41 times. He dropped back 41 times. The Cowboys pressured him 5 times. That's a very low number, and that obviously is the responsibility of many other players, not just Junior Fehoko. But Fehoko was the player with the most pass rushing snaps on Sunday, except for 7th-round rookie nose tackle Justin Rogers. Now, here's the thing. Justin Rogers is not out there trying to pile up pressures. Willie Fehoko kind of is. And that was a little bit of an underwhelming performance. You saw the tape, and this is a guy that is out there showing some flashes when playing end, in particular, some power flashes, right? He's showing off his strength. There's one play where Stetson Bennett gets rid of the football quickly, and it seems like he would have got any pressure if Stetson Bennett got rid of the football a little bit later in the play. But Fehoko ends with 0 pressures on this game. He did get pushed around a whole lot, in my opinion, when he was playing defensive tackle. So here's in this weird spot where you're like, you put it on the Cowboys a little bit to be playing this game where we're going to play him at end, now at tackle, now at end, now at tackle. This snip-snap thing that sometimes we don't like as much as the Cowboys do. But the reality of the situation is, with the way that the team is set up right now, it wouldn't be surprising for the Cowboys to go get some defensive line help before the regular season starts, whether that is at the cut-down day, whether that is via a trade before the season starts. And at this point, I believe Fehoko Jr. has to play his way to secure or into a roster spot and making sure that he isn't the odd man out if the Cowboys go get somebody. I thought he was a little bit of a roster lock just based on depth for the Cowboys in 2024. That Rams game maybe suggested that wasn't a guarantee, and we'll see what the Cowboys do. But right now, you need more from Junior Fehoko. And again, maybe an unfortunate situation for him, being tasked with playing different positions across the defensive line. Nevertheless, that seems to be the reality for him going into preseason week number 2. Now, another name on my list, and we're going to stick to the defensive front, but we're going to go to the linebackers. I think Willie Harvey Jr. is also in a position where he's got to do a little bit more. He's got to bounce back from whatever happened on Sunday, because Willie Harvey Jr. actually received the worst Pro Football Focus grade for the Cowboys, defensively speaking, on Sunday. Now, there was a very nice play where he got a pressure on a designed blitz from Mike Zimmer, where you could see Justin Rogers taking the center, the guard and the tackle away, and then Willie Harvey just blasted through the A-gap into the quarterback, recorded a pressure there. Other than that, though, he struggled. And particularly in run defense, he was caught out of place multiple times. I think the one that stood out the most was an inside run from the Rams where he seems to be in the right position trying to fill a gap. And then at the last moment, he kind of crashes outside, trying to abandon his gap, honestly, not maintaining gap integrity at all in this play. And then the Rams running back just blasts through the middle, gets to the second level untouched. And that big play is all on Will Harvey Jr. That wasn't the only time where you could see Willie Harvey being like, not great versus the run. Also, didn't particularly look great in coverage, although that was much more limited in evaluation for him because he didn't get a lot of targets thrown his way. But hey, Willie Harvey at this point is clearly below Kendricks, Clark, Overshown, and Maris Leofau. He's fighting for one spot because I don't think the Cowboys are going to carry 6 linebackers into the 2024 season. So now you're fighting Jason Johnson, Buddy Johnson. You're fighting Brock Marginson, who had a pick, if I'm not mistaken. It was Brock. And then obviously they added Nick Vigil and Darius Harris. Maybe those are a little bit of longer shots, but Willie Harvey, not the great debut for him in this preseason week number 1. And I do believe he's got to bounce back if he is to avoid being cut. Now, number 3, and now we're going to go to the receiver side of things. We talked about him last night as well. You got to bring up Ryan Flournoy. And the thing about Flournoy is he's also in a little bit of an awkward spot. To be fair to him, missed the start of training camp with an injury. 6th-round draft pick coming out of a small school that needs every time he can get to develop himself into an NFL player. The Cowboys might need to be patient with him, though. 2 drops on this game based on our account, right? He had some rough moments. He had the fumble as well. And the problem for him is also there are many other wide receivers that are raising their hand and being like, hey, I'm going to matter on this wide receiver room, right, for Dallas. So, like, Jalen Tolbert didn't even play on Sunday. So you've got your number 3 spot secured. And then Jalen Brooks, clearly well-liked by the coaching staff. Kevontae Turpin is your kick returner, punt returner, and is also a role player on your offense. So that's wide receiver 5 right there. And it's one spot you're fighting for. Tyron Billy Johnson is on the rise. Jalen Cropper is on the rise, and he had a better game than you. And that includes right after your drop, going out there and making a play where he's catching it behind his back on a misplaced ball from Trey Lance. And I'm talking about Cropper there. Plus, he's gotten more looks as a kick returner, and you need 2 of those because you need somebody else to play next to Kevontae Turpin. Tough spot for Ryan Flournoy. At this moment, it seems like a real possibility for Flournoy to be cut as a 6th-round draft pick and maybe trying to sneak him into the practice squad. And I think the Cowboys today would go with Jalen Cropper if it was cut down day. So the thing is, this is far from over. There's 2 preseason games left to be played. There's a ton of practices in the middle between now and the kickoff for the Cowboys. The Cowboys even scheduled another joint practice. They're going to go up against the Rams again. So it's going to be the 3rd time they face each other in August. So something to keep an eye out for. Ryan Flournoy has a chance at turning this around. But today, I don't think he is the 6th best wide receiver on the team. And I don't think the Cowboys perceive him as such. Ryan Flournoy, by the way, ended the day with the worst PFF grade on offense for Dallas, which was also a little bit of a surprise, I guess. Number 4 on the list, we're going to stick with the offense. This is a tough one. This is Malik Davis for me. The thing about Malik Davis is he appears to be near the bottom of the depth chart, right? Maybe he's at the top of the bottom of the depth chart because I don't think Snoop Conner is above him. I don't think Nathan Pitt is above him. But I do believe Dowdle, not Dowdle, obviously Dowdle, but Deuce Vaughn and Royce Freeman, who didn't play on Sunday, are above him. So if they're ready to go next Saturday night, they're going to get the call before Malik Davis does. So this was like the big game that Malik Davis needed to go out there and impress. And I'm not sure he did. He got 8 carries, accumulated 18 yards. That is an average of 2.3 yards per attempt. And I agree, There's also some run blocking woes involved in such a performance. But then as a receiver, targeted 5 times, only able to reel in 2 catches. That includes 1 drop and a costly drop that pretty much killed the drive for the Cowboys. So I'm not sure that Malik Davis, looking up at several of these running backs, did enough to put himself in the conversation and be like, hey, guess what? Don't count me out just yet. So right now you've got Zeke, you've got Rico, Hunter Lipke, looking pretty much like locks to make this team. And then there's a possibility of Royce Freeman, Deuce Vaughn coming back and being the number 4 running backs, right? One of those two. And Malik Davis also needs to combat a potential newcomer if the Cowboys do go out there and get a running back in free agency or via the trade market, something that Jeremy Fowler reported they are considering. Because according to the ESPN Insider, the Cowboys are keeping a short list of running backs, including Miles Sanders on it. So there might be an acquisition there for a running back before we know it. And last but not least, I got to go with Eric Scott Jr. The reason why I'm going with Eric Scott Jr. is despite the pick that he had, which was a pretty good pick, right? Getting himself in the right position, misfire from Stetson Bennett, but Eric Scott Jr. rids it all the way. I got to put him here because he did have that costly missed tackle. He did have that late penalty call, and he was targeted 4 times, and he allowed 4 catches. It wasn't a great game for Eric Scott Jr., and he's got to be on this list because he's fighting for a 5th spot on the cornerback depth chart, 6th even if the Cowboys want to go long. And now you seems to me that you opened the door with that performance to Josh Butler, to Andrew Booth Jr., or some other of the Cowboys cornerbacks like Keemon Hall, Josh DeVary. It feels like it's a very underwhelming group of cornerbacks. And to me, it was always going to be Scott Jr., even above Nahshon Wright, just because of the upside. But this performance on Sunday kind of felt like he opened the door. So now he's got to bounce back, and he's got to be like, nope, I'm cornerback 5 on this team. But it seems like that door is open now. So it's 2 preseason games, several practices for Eric Scott Jr. to make sure not even the newcomer, Andrew Booth Jr., can take him off of that roster when the season kicks off. So just to recap, ladies and gentlemen, 5 players that I believe need to bounce back now to avoid being cut at the end of the preseason. You got to give me Junior Fehoko, Malik Davis, Willie Harvey Jr., and then I'm going to go with Ryan Flournoy and Eric Scott Jr. Those are my 5 players. Let me know in the comments, who did I miss or who do you disagree with from the names that are on my list? Do me a favor in the meantime, hit the like button for me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much, and bye-bye.